Hello and welcome to Football Home Podcast. We apologise for the lack of episode on Friday to anybody who was waiting for us. Not that we seemed to have many viewers, so I don't think there were anyone really waiting, but just in case there was anybody that was wondering where we were. But yeah, apologies for that. So we will dive straight in to stuff, and the big thing that we do need to discuss that came up yesterday is Manchester City's plight with financial fair play rules that they have been caught on that. Just to kind of go through the details of exactly what it is that is the issue for anybody that might know. So the Premier League have accused Manchester City of more than 100 breaches to financial rules across 9 seasons, 2009 to 2018, failing to assist with investigation from 2018 to 2019, from 2018, 2019 to 2022, 23, overstating sponsorship income and hiding true source of revenue, paying ex-manager Roberto Mancini extra millions with secret contract, not giving full details of player wages, breaking Premier League profit and sustainability rules, and not complying with UEFA's financial fair play regulations. The Premier League has passed their findings on to an independent commission who will decide what happens with that. They are. I think this came up before with UEFA, and they were able to. Manchester City were able to refer the case to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, and they kind of got the case thrown out because UEFA's rules were there was a loophole where teams where the rules weren't in place up until a certain stage, so they couldn't penalise them going back. But the Premier League don't have those rules, so they can't appeal it. So the independent commission's findings will be final. We do know that possible punishment sanctions could include expulsion from the Premier League, points deductions, transfer bans, spending limits, and stripped of previous titles. To be honest, I don't think we will probably see too much. I don't think there'll be really any harsh sanctions. Maybe a transfer ban or two, like we've seen in the past, with like Chelsea. I think have had transfer bans in the past, so I can't see there being too much. But I think the transfer ban and maybe a slap on the wrist will be the biggest sanction we will see, but we will have to wait and see. What's your guys' thoughts on all this, Andreas?
I think it's interesting, like I think for me personally, a lot of what I'm thinking also have to do with the past. That this is not the first time City is in all of these situations. And I guess that can be a reason for a lot of people, including what you said there, Harry. A lot of people may be thinking that nothing big will happen. Maybe the transfer ban, but nothing big, because City have before came out of these situations very good, if you can say it like that, for them. But I think what to me makes this a little bit different is that Juventus also got in some of these things not long ago. I don't remember what the punishment was for Juventus, but I remember there was a lot of drama with that, and they got a punishment.
They got a point deduction, I believe, 15 points or something.
Yeah.
The Premier League is different. The Premier League never really imposed harsh sanctions.
It is, but the Juventus
Chelsea broke them in the past and just had a transfer ban.
It is, but the Juventus thing happening so close to this makes it to me seem like that is something that all the leagues are really taking a look at, and UEFA is. Again, surely it's a different league, but it is something that very much seem like UEFA is and the leagues are taking a look at this more in depth than they did before. So there's those two things to it that you can say it's City. They have been in these things before where nothing really happened, but there's also the side where you can see that other teams are starting to get punishments for the things they have had, or the things they have done. So I think this is very interesting, and I think when it comes to what they are accused of, it's a lot of stuff, and yeah, it's a lot of stuff, and clearly not something that a club should do. Um, and I think if we look at the punishment they can get, I think a lot of them are fair, but there are one thing that I don't think is fair, and that's the stripping of titles part. I don't like that, and I get that if they did this, and if they are found guilty of doing this, it is something that they did the season where they won the trophies. So I get there is a reason for them being stripped of their titles, but to me personally, the past is the past, and I think it will be really really weird if we are going to strip them of the titles and then have new champions that at that point never really knew they won the titles. They will know it now, but that will not really matter to their season, or what they did at that point. So I think that will be a really really chaotic situation that I don't think will gain anyone. I don't think the clubs that's winning the titles are gaining anything from it. I don't really think City is losing much in it either, to be honest. So I think that would be really really weird. So that's the one thing that I would not like to see, even if they are found guilty. All the other stuff are fair if they are found guilty. So again, it very much depends on. It's difficult to say are they guilty or are they not. We can't really know that. Only City and the ones that's actually deciding this can know that. But if you look at the punishments, that's just the one thing that I, as a punishment, don't think is fair to anyone. Everything else is how you should be punished, in my opinion. If you have done this wrong.
Well, just to give the opposite side of things, you could say that it is fair because they overspent and they did things they weren't supposed to do that led to those titles. That they earned those titles through unfair methods.
True, and that's the thing. I also said I know that this is a possible punishment because they use those money to win. I get that. So in that way it's fair, but who is gaining anything from this? And United and Liverpool, I think it's those that will have won those seasons. They are not really gaining anything from it at this point. Fans will not gain anything from knowing that they won 3 seasons this way. I'm speaking on Warren and Richard's behalf right now, and yours, Harry. But I will not, at least. I will not really see that as anything special because it doesn't matter at this point. City are not really losing much by it at this point either. It's just titles that they lost, which of course means a lot when it happens at that point. But right now it will not really do anything to that team. So I just don't think that is a good solution to anything. And I think it will be a chaotic situation. And again, let's just let the past be the past. Let's go forward and let's do something for City going forward that they will be in trouble. But the past is the past, and there's no reason, in my opinion, to change that. But that's just my opinion.
Warren?
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but you have to look at the history because history tells us exactly where something originated and what it led to. You can't say the past is the past because past actions led to future successes, and you can't say like this is not me saying you're wrong. So don't get me. It's not. I'm saying you're entitled to your opinion, but my opinion is you have to look at past actions. Past actions gives us clarity as to where things originated, why things happened, and what led to that, and what came from that. And I'm not saying they should be stripped of their titles, but it's in the constitution of the Premier League. It's one of their fundamental punishments. So if they decide on it, we can't say it's weird because it's been there. The clubs knew about it, and you choose to do what you need to do. You cook your books. You cook. You do what you want to do. You overspend. This fair play. There's certain clubs that they find little loopholes. I think Chelsea did it this season when by spending over 600 million um, what's the currency pounds um, with the um, with the transfers in one season. But the loophole that they used is they're offering contracts for 8 years, and then they're almost like paying it off to the player, which I think is kind of like a loophole. It's still wrong in my opinion, but it's a clever
Yeah.
way of spinning things. It's kind of smart, so that you can't be pegged as, oh yeah, you overspend. So it's because a lot of people spoke about Chelsea's overspending this season, but if you do that, look at it, that's kind of like a loophole that the Premier League doesn't cover. So they can't say you're not allowed to do it unless they change it now. But let's get back to City. City's been in the spotlight about controversy and unfairness and overspending for a couple of years now, and they've been getting away with a lot of stuff if it is true. So the most common thing that I've read about so far is they will definitely be getting a point deduction. That's the biggest thing that I've heard. It's going to be more than 15. I think it's going to be 20 points or something that they're going to be deducted from this current season. They might look at past seasons as well and add those points to it as well. So City could face them, could be in the relegation zone if depending on the amount of points that they deduct from where they are right now. And the clubs that benefit from this is obviously United and Newcastle and Tottenham and Arsenal. And if this happens, I think Arsenal runs away with depending on when they decide, runs away with the league. I think Manchester City and United and Newcastle are the only teams that can catch Arsenal at this point. They're that close in range. But it is interesting that the timing of it, but they're saying they've been investigating this for 5 years now, and I think they only found clarity right now, which is why they're bringing it to light. But it's definitely a hot topic, and I don't know how it's going to affect City because going into this couple of games that they're going to play, and they're not even sure what's happening, especially the players. Like what's happening, what's going to happen to those players' psyche
This could
going
go
into
on for
these
ages,
games.
though. That's what's been said. This could go on for a very long time. It could be a couple of
Yeah,
years
so a lot of people
before
are
anything.
going gung ho about Liverpool and United fans. I've seen them on TikTok and Twitter and all these platforms saying yes, we're gonna get 3 more titles to our name and blah 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 blah, and we can brag about this. But you don't know when this is gonna happen. You just have to focus on right now,
Yeah.
winning your games. And like I'm not a big City supporter. They've been doing well, but like Harry said, they've done a lot of stuff that unfairly benefited them to getting to where they are. So maybe they're not the team that they should be, that people think they are, based on appearances and based on what's happening. So it's going to be interesting. I don't really have an opinion on it. Can't say what's going to happen. I know for sure the big thing that I saw is that a point deduction is going to be levied, and they might get relegated to the championship and will have to play their way back into the league whenever they decide it. But that's the two main things that I heard. The stripping of titles, I don't know, but if they do go it, I don't think it's unfair because Harry mentioned at the beginning, like they won these titles because of the cash influx, the unfair play that the of the financials and these clubs, and I feel sorry for clubs that can't spend that much money because they're not at the disposal and they're not being honest about what they're doing. So if it comes to light and it is true, any punishment that they get that's within the confines of the constitution of the Premier League is fair. You can't say it's not fair because it's there. They knew about it. So if you do something wrong and you know what the punishments for it are, you must live with the consequences. That's it. You can't hide away from it. You can't find a loophole unless you're Chelsea.
I guess that City can't say that it's unfair because they did the thing wrong. But I will absolutely say, and that comes to everything in life, that everyone outside of that always have the how can you say it? They always have the right to have their own opinion. And personally, I think, and that's not City, that's in general. I don't think the trophy stripping is a good thing to do, and that's my personal opinion, and I'm allowed to have that, and you're allowed to have yours. I think with the Chelsea thing, I actually completely agree with you, and I think not really, because I actually think that the fact that there even is a loophole is a problem. Like, and I will be straight about that. I think there is a problem right there, that Premier League is not making that work good enough, because there shouldn't be a loophole. We are talking about professional football right here. We're talking about sportsmanship. We're talking about the one that's the best team should win. So when you are even allowed as a team to be able to find loopholes, I think there are a problem there. And you can say it's smart. It's probably smart, but it's
It is smart. It is definitely smart.
It is smart. It is smart by Chelsea, but it's crazy that it's even allowed. That is even allowed to be a loophole. And I guess that it's not easy. I guess that Premier League probably would want to do something about it if it was easier, stripping that loophole away. But I think in general, the fact that there even are loopholes to this, the fact that if City even did this, they were allowed to get away with it last time because of the loophole. I think that is a problem, that these loopholes are even allowed to exist.
I just don't think they're gonna get away with it this time.
They're not allowed to exist. They exist
They
because
can't appeal. They can't appeal any of the decision that's been made. Last time they could hire lawyers, go to this court, and they could hire lawyers to fight for them. This time they can't do it. They have to sit back and wait for the decision. And what I wanted to say, one thing is, with all this happening with City, and just like you mentioned with Juventus just before that, this is going to have a ripple effect going forward for all the other teams in all the other leagues are going to become more stricter when it comes to these transfers and the transfer blocking, and they're going to maybe limit, you can only sign 3-4 players, or something like that, and that it's definitely going to have a ripple effect going forward.
Yeah, as it should be, and it's great. And I think it's needed because, again, yeah, City can't do anything about it now. But last time they could get away with it because of the loophole. Again, the Chelsea thing, there is a loophole, and I think that really is a problem that these loopholes are even allowed to be there. But as you said, it's great that the teams are right now, or the leagues are right now, doing something about it. And Juventus is a good example. City right now is a good example. Again, not the fan of the trophy thing, because as you said before, it's about going forward, and the past is about the future as well. And I agree with that. When it comes to the players they had in the past, those having more money than they probably should have, that is absolutely something you need in the future when you look at point deductions, transfer bans, all that kind of stuff. The trophy City won 3 seasons ago, 5 seasons ago, that doesn't matter anything in how we can punish them in the future. Point deduction, transfer bans, all of that, that is City's future that we are punishing. We are not really hurting anyone with the trophy thing, but we can disagree on that, and that's a part of all of this, that we can disagree and have our different opinions. But that is at least my opinion on this.
But it is the past that was the issue. With that it was in the past that they did these things, and I guess the idea will be, well, if they did this in the past, they should be penalised in the past.
Besides the point that one of the things they are accused of is 2022 and 23 thing. I saw that. So that's for this season. So not all the things are the past. And that's why this is a very difficult thing, because, yeah, there is the past in this. But again, we are not really hurting anyone with the past. Something they did in the past, they should be punished for. But the way we are really, really hurting Chelsea, that is the future.
But the thing is, Andreas, what I think Gary is also trying to say is there's teams that got hurt professionally, financially, in all kind of ways because of this. And this is an investigation that has been going on for 5 years. So we can't say only a certain aspect is for 2022 and a certain aspect. We don't know the volume of stuff happening. So if they were going to strip them from titles for past actions, I'm fully in agreement with it. Not just because it's Liverpool and Manchester United that's going to benefit. If it's Villa or Everton, whoever was in the running for that team, I think those players, although those teams got done dirty, by actions from City, and you can't say you can't, as a human being or as a fan, you can't say, oh, it's okay. Nothing is gonna happen if we strip the titles. It's not gonna hurt City, but it's going to boost the other teams because those teams should have won the league in those years had it not been for this infringements. So I think that is what it comes down to. So you have to look at what has happened in the past and treat it accordingly. You can't be okay. We're just going to punish you for this season, but you did all these things 5 years ago. That's how I view it. But that's my
Yeah,
stance on it.
that's fair. I
Anyway,
wish
we
I
will
wish it
move
was
on,
that
guys.
simple.
We'll move on.
I wish it was that simple. But the thing with this also is that if we talk about United and if you talk about Liverpool, the thing is, if City's team was not that strong that season, we don't know how all the whistles will have been. We could have had other teams that won. We don't know if Liverpool or United will have become champions that season because we don't know how the entire season will have come out if City was not a part of that or if City have followed the rules. So that's why I wish it was that simple to just say, okay, we are boosting us, Liverpool and United. But the thing is, we don't know if we're doing that. We don't know if these teams actually will have won and therefore will be boosted by this. So that's why it's much more complicated than that. But I wish it was that simple to just say Liverpool and United won the seasons. But again, we can't know because again, it's the past and it's very difficult talking about something in the past when something else happened in the past. So yeah, very difficult situation for sure.
We'll move on. The Premier League Player and Manager of the Month awards were announced over the weekend. The Player of the Month went to Marcus Rashford, who earned his second award of the season, and Manager of the Month went to Mikel Arteta, who picked up his third award of the season. I think these are pretty fair decisions, guys. I don't know about you. Player of the Month, I guess Saka can maybe feel a little bit aggrieved, but I think overall, it was. I think the last time there was a podcast, myself and Andreas did speak about this, and we kind of said, I think it was a couple of weeks ago when it was the two of us, the FA Cup day, and the nominations came out. We did kind of say it was between Rashford and Saka, so I don't think many people can really have too many arguments. Andreas?
Oh, I agree. We already talked about it, and I think this is a fair whistle to it all. Yeah, I think it's a fair whistle, and I think very much Rashford and Saka are the two standouts from this month. So I think it's a very fair fight between those two, and Rashford winning it, I think is fair. But yeah, we already talked about that you could give it to either one of those. So yeah, I think it's very fair.
And Mikel Arteta as well. Arsenal are beaten in January.
Yeah, I think we also talked about that last time where I said that this was really for me where I realized how good they actually are. There was a result last time. We will probably talk about that was not that good, but if we look at the month they won in, Arsenal was just really, really great. And for me, that was really where I saw how great they actually are. So yeah, very deserving to both.
Yeah, the one thing I would say, I think that we can discuss is that Arteta. This is Arsenal do it all the time. It would have been nice to see like Thomas Frank or someone win.
Yeah.
That it'd be nice to give someone else the recognition for once. That we expect this from Arsenal and Newcastle every month. That it would have been nice for someone else to kind of maybe have a shot at it and kind of reward them for their hard work as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think again, personally, Arsenal was just really, really on form this season and not season month. They are that all the times, but for me personally, something really clicked here. That it did more than it did the other times, which is insane. But yeah, I feel like Arsenal this month was very fair. But I completely get what you're saying, and I agree. It needs to be. It also needs to be more about the smaller teams because Arsenal doing great is no surprise. Newcastle, no surprise. The smaller teams, that's a different story, and the managers getting vessels there is a bigger deal, because the team they have to do with is not on the same level as the players Arteta have. Obviously, that is clearly how it will be. So yeah, I agree with you, and I hope to see more of that in the coming months. But for right now, I think Arteta deserved it.
Yeah, De Zerbi and who else would we say? De Zerbi and Thomas Frank were both nominated as well. Warren, your thoughts quickly? You're on mute, Warren.
Excuse me, sorry. I think it's about consistency. I think it's a consistency thing, and that's what they base it on. So yes, I think the smaller teams should get recognition, but they also need to work for it. And if you're in contention with Arsenal at the moment, in the month of Jan, if you look at what they've done, granted, yeah, like they were undefeated, and no other team has done that. So you can't look away from that. So yes, the smaller teams, I agree 100%. Thomas Frank should be up there for this 100 but Roberto De Zerbi should be up there for what he's done with Brighton. But they haven't been that on that. If you compare the teams that was in contention for this award, Arsenal deserves it. So it's about what you produce for that month, and I think Arteta deserves it. I think I don't think he's getting it in Feb, but yeah, he's done amazing. And then, yeah, I agree. Saka has been, this dynamite little pocket for Arsenal, but you can't look away from the form of Rashford and what he's done. He's been scoring in every single game that he's been in, except for I think the Crystal Palace game that he didn't score in. But I think that just shows how great he's been doing. And like, if you look at how many people even transferred him into the fantasy and triple captains him, and he's one player that doesn't leave people's teams right now, and that is a lot. And he's just on amazing form, and I think he deserves it. And it's the second one that says a lot. He's in the form of his life, and yeah, I think well deserved. But if Saka got it, it wouldn't have been a bad thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will move straight into a review of the weekend's Premier League. And we will start with Friday. We'll go back to Friday night. And Andreas, all these signings, and still nothing. You still couldn't.
American money failed me.
American money let you down.
Yeah, they really did.
It's actually a really decent team, I think. I thought the team, it was probably one of the best team they could have fielded. I liked Gallagher being in the midfield. I've said all season he needs to be starting. I thought the four at the back worked well. I think maybe they just lacked the striker, just being able to finish off those chances.
Yeah, I very much feel like right now the problem is the striker, because I feel like midfield worked. Gallagher, I've said it before as well, I think he's very, very, very good. Enzo Fernandez was really good in his first match. Mudryk, not quite really working. I hope it will come, but for right now it's not quite there.
Yeah.
But besides that,
he needs time. He needs time
needs
to settle in.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen Sterling start ahead of him, but I know Sterling is kind of coming back from injury.
Yeah, Sterling. Sterling is a starter. He needs to be a starter, but I get that in this situation they wanted to rest him a little bit. I think it was Ziyech that was instead of him, and I also get that now that we have Ziyech for half a year at least, still we want to use him. I get that. So I get the starting lineup and all of that. And I think we actually did play good. I think the defense was great. Not conceding a goal against Fulham, I think is really, really good, because Fulham is offensively a really strong team. So I think that was great. And defense have been a problem that I've never been the biggest fan of Chelsea when it comes to defense, because we have never really been that strong, in my opinion at least. But I think that worked pretty well in this match. Midfield again worked really well. Even offensively, I think it worked really well. But we need that striker, and that's the problem. And it doesn't matter if you have a great team that plays good. defense works, midfield works, even offensive works. It doesn't matter if you don't score the goals. And that's the thing here. And we really need that striker. Yeah, it's a problem. I really hope that Joao Felix will be that guy now that he returns, at least for the next half year. Don't know what we're going to do after that, but I hope that he will come back now and be that striker that we need. Because if not, then all hope is gone. But yeah, I think we did play really well. And again, Fulham is a strong team, so in that way, this is not a bad result. The thing just is that right now we can't use draws to anything. Of course we can, but it's very limited. Normally this would be a pretty fine result, but right now we need those wins. So yeah, frustrating, but at the same time happy with the team. Just really frustrated that we have such a huge problem with scoring the goals.
Absolutely. Warren?
Yeah, this was an interesting game to watch. I think I agree with you. I think Chelsea fielded a very strong team with what they had. And all these people are slamming Chelsea. Yeah, you spent so much money and your players couldn't produce. But we have to remember, this is new players, 30 time. It's not going to click. It's not everybody's Luis Diaz that can just come into a team and start scoring. And even he needed time, a game or two. So relax, people.
Thing is, they don't have time though. They're 10th, they're 9th, they're 10th in the table. They don't have time.
I get that.
I
get that, but the problem isn't what people should not be focusing on is not the amount of money Chelsea spent. It's about what they did with that money and who they got in. That is what they need to be focusing on, and they didn't get in a proper striker because they had Felix, but obviously he was suspended for the game. But I think they need more. I think they need another person. I think they need another person. You can't just rely now only on Felix and Sterling. I don't know what Mount is doing, and he's just somebody floating around. But I really do think, especially with the question marks around Aubameyang and him probably going back to Europe, I think definitely there's something to look at, and maybe they overspent too much in the defense and in the midfield, and maybe they should have invested more in the offensive part of the team. But I think they fielded a strong team, and especially with Jorginho leaving, there was this emptiness now. That vacant spot that they needed to fill. But I think overall they did well. I mean, judging by the other results, we will get to that now. But judging by that, I think they, out of the teams that dropped points and stuff, I think they did well against Fulham. Kepa did some great saves as well. Fulham was really strong and they had a lot of chances, but again, they couldn't penetrate the defense of Chelsea. And I have to give props to Chelsea for that. They played better than most other teams in the Premier League this weekend. We'll get to that. Yeah, I think fair result. But granted, they do need the points. But I mean, at least you didn't lose 3 points. You got a point. So I mean, I would be happy with that. Yes, granted, you're still in ninth, but there's still games. There's still like 30 odd games. Not 30 odd. There's still about 18 games to play in the league. So it's about converting those matches into the most 3 points that you can get out of it. But I think fair enough. A 0-0 was fair enough just based on the game because both teams did well. Chelsea did well defensively. Fulham did well offensively. So I think it just balanced each other nicely out.
Yeah, I think also with what Harry said that they don't have the time. They don't, but that's not the players' fault, and that's why I completely agree with Warren that they don't have the time. They absolutely don't, but that's not the players' fault. That's the team not being good enough before January. It's the owners not making it work before January. So the players that are coming in, that it's not their fault.
The owners weren't in at the start.
They were in before January. They were in before January. They were in for most of the season.
They weren't in over the summer though. They weren't there to buy people.
No, but they were in trying to make the team work, trying to understand what do we want to do behind the scenes.
But I think with Chelsea, it's interesting this season because I know we're going over a bit of time now but I just want to put out Chelsea is the one team that out of many that has gone through so much changes within one season. And it's crazy. I know a lot of people, a lot of managers are leaving and coming. They see people coming in. But not fresh of the bat, two goals, staple guy. We went out like 3 weeks into the Premier League. They got Graham Potter in. He had to have time to adjust. Then the new owners is there. New players are coming in. I get it. They're spending a lot of money, and people are focusing on them spending all this money. It's not about them spending the money. It's about getting the right people into your team. And at least they're doing something about it. And I said it in the last podcast. At least they're not like Liverpool sitting on their hands and doing nothing. They're actually getting people in to strengthen the team.
Yeah.
It might not have worked against Fulham, but maybe next week it carries a favorable result. So yes, I think with the changes, they don't have a lot of time, but with the changes that this club had to go through, I think it's only fair that the people need to give them the benefit of the doubt. I get it. Ninth point for Chelsea is not great, but it has been a weird season, and they just need some time. It's a new transfer window that just closed. Just give them some time.
Yeah,
Fair.
yeah, and quickly also with the striker thing, I absolutely agree there as well. That like I think Felix is supposed to be that guy, but that's also just a loan deal, and even in having Felix, there's only one guy. What are you doing with the rest? And I really think that is a problem. That like and completely as Warren said, I think the players that are coming in are absolutely pretty good players. I think Mudryk can be a great player. Fernandez, I'm very I'm very sure will be a great player, but they're not the guys we needed. Like you get what I'm saying? In position wise, that was not our problems. Striker
Yeah.
is our main problem. So I absolutely agree that there are problems there that the signings we make, I think, are good, but it's just not the problem we had. So and with Jorginho, for example, going out with him, Fernandez instead, what really is the change there? It's just another good midfielder. I can see Harry wants me to move on, so I will end it quickly. I do think the young Fofana, the striker, I think he was really good in those 15 minutes he played.
Yeah.
He was really good. So I hope for more on him. But I very much agree that the striker is our problem, and yeah, I hope for the best.
Fair enough. Saturday lunchtime, there was a huge shock as Everton beat the league leaders Arsenal. New manager bounce under Sean Dyche. I can see Warren is just completely perplexed by it. It was pretty crazy, to be fair, and I think many people saw that coming. Because Arsenal have been so good this season. It was intriguing, actually. I heard Sean Dyche saying afterwards in his press conference that he felt that players had admitted that they let the previous management down a little bit, and that he wanted to try and kind of try and play on that a little bit. But yeah, look, it's a decent Everton side that have underperformed this season. But I think they took the game to Arsenal and were very physical. They didn't let Arsenal play. If you let Arsenal play, let them have the ball, they will cause you problems. But Everton have been all right when they played the big teams. They've beaten Arsenal. They drew against City. It's against sides around them that they don't do well. Warren, what was your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, it's interesting. This was the first weekend or the first game week where the transfer window ended. So it was going to be this, unbalanced type of thing. All the teams that had all these transfers had to, tippy toe and make sure that everything was compact and make adjustments. So I get it. And everybody said before this game, the new manager bounced. And Sean Dyche is a great manager. What he did with Burnley was amazing. So I mean, I expected. But what I was impressed with him was the people that he positions, like Alex Iwobi, he played in the front, not in the middle. That was crazy. I didn't expect that to happen. And that made a huge difference because that guy can run and he can create chances and he can score. I do think the Everton goal was a lucky goal. I will say it was a lucky goal. It just came out of nowhere. I think Arsenal went maybe into it a little bit cocky, but you need to look at history again. Arsenal has never won at Goodison Park, ever. So if you look at history, Arsenal does not have a good record there. So going in there, they knew that psychological thing was in their head. I think it kind of psychologically sabotaged themselves because they didn't play like the Arsenal that we know. You know, Martinelli came in, okay, went off half time. Martinelli, Odegaard went off like before full time, and you know, Jorginho had to come on, and Trossard had to come on, and the regular players that normally the top creators. I mean, Nketiah had a lot of chances, but they just couldn't penetrate Everton. And when Everton digs the heels in the sand, you can't really penetrate them. When they get, if you allow them to do that, you're going to struggle. And I think it would have ended in a 0-0 draw. I thought it was going to end in a 0-0 draw, but I think that goal from Everton was pure luck. But they took it and they ran with it, and then they protected it like it was Earth's gold. So great result for them. Great 3 points. Unfortunately for Everton, they're still in the relegation zone because of what the other teams did this weekend. So there's still work to be done. But if this is the side of what Sean Dyche is going to do with that team, I think they could maybe just scrape by and pass.
Yeah, it was a very Sean Dyche-esque performance as well. It was a very, and even Tarkowski scoring a header from a corner. That's a very Sean Dyche thing, that he liked to kind of get results, nick results like that from corners, from set pieces, just out of nothing. Andreas?
Yeah, like I don't even know where to start. Like, if I've talked a lot about the part with I know there's a lot of other things with City at the moment, but before all of that, I've talked a lot about the thing with City. Maybe when they are facing Arsenal in those two games, City wins both games, then City is on top. I've thought about that in the past. I know Warren don't think it will happen. I get that, but I've thought about it before, that like maybe it could happen. But there was always the thing that was like, it's not going to happen because Arsenal is going to, like, Arsenal had played one less game than City, and Arsenal was going to face Everton. So Arsenal will very likely go to be 8 points ahead of City when after this game. But it didn't happen, and like no matter how much an Everton fan you can be, no matter how much you hate Arsenal, no matter how clever you think you are, no one would ever say that Everton will win this. Like that, it's crazy, because we're talking about Arsenal, the best team in the league right now. Everton maybe the worst team because of all the switches that just happened. And now Everton go out and win, and it's crazy. And the City theory is still alive. It will probably be shut down when Arsenal beat City in their match. But anyways, for right now, it's still alive. But yeah, Everton. As you just said, Harry, it was very Sean Dyche, the way he played. He got the win, and a lucky goal. I very much agree with that as well. If you look at the possession, I know Warren hates to talk about possession because he says it doesn't matter. It doesn't. I know that, but if you look at it, Arsenal have 70.5% of possession. So Everton have 29.5. And it's a lot. Like, if you look at touches, passes, Arsenal is completely dominating in every aspect of that. They have more shots as well. Everton have more shots on target, one more. But in every aspect of that, Arsenal is dominating. But Everton got the win. And that is why he got signed as the manager, Sean. That is his job. He needs to make them survive. And when you can win a match like this against Arsenal, then you can win it against every team. So again, I don't think Everton in any way is expecting top 10 or maybe not even top 12 or something like that. They just want to survive. And this win is the perfect example of they can survive. Because again, if you can beat Arsenal like this, then you can beat every team like that. So yeah, Everton, really a big surprise, but great start for something for Everton. And Harry went because I was talking too much. So Harry,
no, yeah, I just have to plug in my computer. That's all.
It's okay, man. I'm just joking. But yeah, Everton, great win for them, and and not that good for Arsenal. But Arsenal is still a great team, and the next couple of games will be very interesting for Arsenal.
Yeah. Thankfully for Arsenal, they didn't lose too much ground in the title race because obviously City lost. Arsenal, we talked about City lost obviously, so they didn't lose ground, and they still have a game in hand on City as well. So we'll move on. Warren.
Oh my god. No,
This
I'm not
was
even worried.
this
Um,
absolute disaster. I watched the highlights today. Wolves kind of dominated for the first 15-20 minutes, went 2-0 up, some horrific defending. John Matip had a howler of a day. And then Liverpool decided to play. I know we've talked a lot about the midfield and the strikers not getting the service, but I don't think that was the issue in this game. I feel like they had chances. Salah had chances. Nunes had chances. I think it was the defence that was the problem. And obviously the forwards not taking the chances as well. It was just horrific. Warren?
being a Liverpool fan right now is probably the most depressing thing, and it's the same thing every week. I come in here and I'm not one of those Liverpool fans that has blinders on and say, "Oh yeah, the next game we'll get them. We'll get them next time." No, I'm not like we are in the mud. Liverpool is in the mud right now, and it is atrocious. I said this was. People said the Brighton game was the most embarrassing game. I think this one was the most embarrassing one, and conceding 3 goals against Wolves, a team that has been struggling to get goals in the net, and Liverpool is conceding 3 goals and they can't score 1 goal, not one. They haven't scored 1 goal in the Premier League since before the World Cup. After the World Cup, they have not scored 1 goal. The other goal that they scored was against Brentford, and that was Oxlade-Chamberlain, and that is a lot. They've conceded 9, 10 goals so far in the new year. This is bad. It's bad for business. And I know a lot of people are going about, the front three, they did take the chances, but I agree with Harry, it was the defense. It was terrible. It was terrible. Allison, um, Gomez, Matip. Oh my god. Like I would start the Reese Williams. I would start Nat Phillips over those two. I would even start Molnar over the people that played in that game. It was just,
Milner
and I
doesn't
think
play centre back though, does he? Can
I
he play
think
centre
Mulder
back?
can play in any defensive position. I think he's that experienced to be able to do that, and he's proven against teams like City and whatever he can keep. He's proven it against Chelsea as well. I just think that with Liverpool at the moment, and a lot of it has to do about Klopp's decisions as well. How do you take Naby Keita off the field, the guy that had the most chances to convert a goal? You take him off the field and you bring on Henderson. It doesn't make sense. You've got Fabio Carvalho that has proven that he can come as a super sub and score goals, and you leave him on the bench for 7 games. You don't use him. So I get it. A lot of people say, "Oh, they didn't sign anybody." FSG is having them in all these financial handcuffs, and the defense is poor. But you as a manager should be taking your people that you've got and knowing where to put who and who should be playing against what team. I think that is what makes a great manager. If you can't do that, there's problems. So you can blame the board as much as you want to, but I think there's fault with Klopp as well. You can't sit there and be like, "Oh my God, what's happening?" If you see your team is playing poorly for the first 20 minutes, make the changes. Don't wait till 70, minute 70. But again, I'm going off topic here. Wolves deserve the win. They played great. They deserve the win. Liverpool atrocious. I don't see Liverpool getting top 4 at all. I don't see. I would be surprised if Liverpool is even in the top tier of the top 10 of the league at the end of the season, unless something drastically changes. But I don't have. I don't know. But credit to Wolves, they earned those 3 points.
Yeah, I know Klopp did blame the players afterwards and said he isn't getting enough from the players. I don't know how much you can really agree with that or not. But like I feel like the defence is something we've talked about for a long time with Liverpool being an issue. We've always kind of said that apart from Virgil van Dijk, they need another centre-back. They need another 2 centre-backs. That if Van Dijk got injured, they would be in trouble. And that kind of showed. It's been an area they've been lacking in for a long time, I feel. Andreas, what's your thoughts on the game and the result?
Yeah, I get what you're saying there, that there is a problem defensively, but the thing with losses like this is that it's not only defensively, it's also offensively, at least in this part, because you don't score 1 goal at all. And that's like, losses like this are the worst, because it's not just because you can't score goals, or it's not just because defense is not working. It's all of it, because you concede way too many goals and you don't score any goals. So it's all a mess right now, and it really is a sad thing, because I'm not a Liverpool fan at all, but the top 6 teams, that just is something special about them, and it's funny to joke around with them and all that kind of stuff, but it's not fun, at least not for me, to see the top teams in Premier League crumble like this, or not performing, because there is so much history in a lot of those top 6 teams, and also just in them being what we call top 6 today. So seeing this for Liverpool is in no way, shape, or form fun. And yeah, it's just a mess. And if you look at Wolves' stats for the last 4 games, they have only scored 2 goals before this game. And I think that says a lot. That Wolves is not really in a good form or anything at all, actually. The last Premier League game before this was 3-0 to City, and also that's again like City beating them with 3-0, then they go out and beat Liverpool 3-0. I think that just really says that this is not about Wolverhampton being a great team right now, at least not from what we have seen before this, but it's just Liverpool being in a huge amount of trouble. So I absolutely agree with Warren that from the outside look at this is a worse loss than the Brighton one, because Brighton is just a really, really good team. That's not really what we have seen, or what I have seen from Wolves the last couple of games. So yeah, this is very, very frustrating, and I completely understand the way Warren look at this. And yeah, it's just difficult. It's really difficult, because there's so many problems, and again, transfer window is just over, so you can't get in new players. Usually when it's happening in October or something like that, you can talk about, okay, maybe we can do something in the next window. That's not a possibility anymore, and at least not for this season. So yeah,
it's not just not just a one-off, Andreas. This has been happening for a long time.
It has, but there's not.
They didn't recruit in January. They had all of January, and all they got was Cody Gakpo.
Yeah, true. I get that. But as a fan looking at it, you had possibilities to do that. The fact that they didn't sign anything, that's a different story. But from a fan looking at this, there was possibilities in what to do. We can all agree that the way Liverpool is dealing with signings right now, that's terrible. I don't think anyone is disagreeing with that. But looking at it from a fan, there was possibilities now. If you look at it from a fan right now, there is not really anything other to do than make the team to work, and that's clearly very, very difficult right now. And I don't like Klopp's reasoning, but that's his reason, and of course he knows the team better than I do. But yeah, I think right now it's just all around a huge mess, and it's not fun to watch it. It really isn't.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Liverpool are in dire straits, but up the road in Manchester, things are looking up, and things are looking bright for Manchester United at the moment. 13 games unbeaten at Old Trafford. United are going very, very well at the moment. This was a good result for them. I think the result kind of is a little bit kind to Palace. They got back into it in the last 20 minutes or so because of the red card to Casemiro, which kind of changed the game. We'll get to that in a little bit, that red card issue, because it is worth debating. But overall, a good win for United. Marcus Rashford on fire again. It's too easy for him at the moment. All he had to do was tap it in. They're too good. United are just really strong at the moment. Ten Hag has them playing a really great brand of football. Even with Ericsson out injured, they still managed to work it and still got result. And I think they were pretty much full value for the win. They dominated, I felt, against the side that they struggled against a couple of weeks ago. I don't know what's your thoughts on the game, Andreas?
Yeah, I think like United only won with one goal, but like that's going to happen sometimes. You can't always win with a lot of goals, and winning is what matters. And United just came from the loss to Arsenal. So them winning this is good. They showed that they are still a very, very strong team, and I'm not really worried about them only winning with one goal. Again, it happens. You can't always win with a lot of goals. So yeah, good win for Arsenal United. And from Palace perspective, I feel like Palace is a pretty strong team as well at the moment. After they lost to Tottenham, they only lost with one goal to us, got draw with United, and then draw with Newcastle. So it's some pretty big teams they have been facing, and still doing a pretty good job. Like we are talking again, Chelsea, United, Newcastle. That's some big clubs, and only losing with one goal if they even lost. So yeah, really good by Palace, and I think they're doing pretty good right now. The problem clearly will be that they have not won any match in the last 5 games in Premier League. So they need to get some wins. But again, the teams I just mentioned are also huge clubs. So not really any surprise there. So yeah, I'm pretty optimistic about Palace, to be honest. And I think this is just United showing that they are a strong team, and nothing really there. But yeah, Palace I think are doing a great job. So also not that surprised that United only won with one goal.
Yeah, Warren.
Yeah, I always say on this podcast that when United play at Old Trafford, they fly high. They can't take away from that, and they play some amazing football. I genuinely have the utmost respect for Erik ten Hag. What he's done with this club. He came in, it was a shambles, and he just turned things around for them. So big props to that guy, big props. Rashford I think he's one of my favorite United players at this moment. I think he's just it's such a joy to watch. And even Casemiro, I know he got sent off. I think that was a bit harsh, but we'll get to that. But overall, judging from how they played the first time around, it was a 1-1 draw. I think they did really well. And if it hadn't been for that red card, don't think Palace gets that goal in. So it would have been more favorable. Clean sheet for United. Luke Shaw got the assist for the second goal. Fernandes is in the goals. I think overall the team is just clicking well. I think everybody knows what they need to do. Everybody's clicking into their positions, knowing how to attack, how to defend, how to keep the midfield strong. De Gea is great in the sticks. Ten Hag is doing what he needs to do. I posted a little video there in our chat the other day about Ten Hag working his magic with all the outside teams and bringing in players. I think that was kind of funny. And I think United is just is having the time of their lives in the Premier League. I think if you're a United player and even a supporter, you are having the season. And I think they deserve it because of what they went through in the previous seasons. I think a lot of people came into the season expecting United to fumble again, and the fact that they are thriving is a great thing. Palace, I think they will be okay. They will finish in the middle of the bottom part of the table like they normally do. They're one of those teams you can't get rid of them. They're like that little fly that doesn't want to go away. They constantly come back, and there's no disrespect to them. I think without Zaha, they're gonna struggle, even though he hasn't been converting goals. I just think as a club, they're not winning, like Andrea said, they're not winning. And even if you lose by 1 point, you're still losing. You're losing 3 points, and that's what matters. They don't have the greatest record at the moment, so I think they'll be okay. But it's not the greatest thing to write home about. But they are a tough team to face. So winning against them is a. I think United got robbed of a clean sheet.
Absolutely. The Casemiro red card, it is debatable. The referee did go to the monitor, was told to go to the monitor and check the incident. It was shown in slow mo. They showed an angle of it. It looked, and even from pictures all over the internet, it looked like he was trying to strangle Will Hughes. But from a different angle, it looks like he pulled him by the shirt. He grabbed him by the shirt rather than by the throat. And that it was just kind of a bit of argy-bargy in the whole thing. What's your guys' thoughts on that? I don't know if you really have any thoughts, Warren.
Yeah, I think what I saw what happened was he took the player and he just moved him. But I think the way that he did it looked weird. And I don't think his intent was to go and strangle him. But granted, he got the red card, the ref sent him off, but the ref should look at the whole situation happening there. And there was a Crystal Palace player that did the same exact thing to Fred in that whole little scramble. Why didn't that player get sent off as well?
Yeah.
I just don't understand the rationale of sending somebody off, because I think Casemiro was just as surprised as everybody was like me. Like, he was legit surprised. I don't think he went and strangled the player. I think he went and took Will Hughes and said, "Let's get out of the situation," and just moved him. And by the way, if you look at it in slow motion, it looks like he's strangling. He's trying
Yeah.
to strangle the player. I don't think that was a red card offense. I don't think that was his intent, but that's how the ref viewed it. But I think that in that case, you need to look at everybody involved and punish them accordingly. You can't just punish one player. And so I don't think the red card should have stood. But I think since he did give the red card, it should have gone to, I don't know who the player was, but I think there was an incident with Fred as well. I don't have the footage with me, but I think, yeah, I think that player should have been sent off as well, because the same exact thing that Casemiro did happen with Fred, and the Palace person didn't get punished.
Absolutely. You have to have consistency there. You can't just send off one person for that and not the other person. I think the footage. I think he probably just saw Casemiro and was like, okay, yeah. He didn't properly look at. I don't think he was necessarily given all the footage to make an
He
informed
didn't
decision.
look at the full picture, I don't think.
Yeah. And there was an angle that wasn't shown that did show that it looked like he was just grabbing him by the shirt rather than by the throat. But could be said a little bit harsh. Andreas?
Yeah, I think I think I've said it before that I feel like the decisions made by the refs in Premier League are all over the place. And
You think?
I stand by that. I feel like it's really a mess, and at this point it's kind of tiring in a way for me, because like I never really know if it's actually okay what they decided, and that's not how it should be. And of course, like it's so easy for me to sit here and be like, oh, you're doing a bad job, when I'm not there and I'm not the one actually making the calls in that situation. So I completely get that, but I think even with that, there still are too many problems, and I don't feel like other leagues are having as much problems as there are in Premier League right now. So yeah, I think that really is a problem with the Premier League right now. And from my understanding with Casemiro, of course, he's the only one that can know his full intentions with this. But from what I understand with him, he's not really a player that will do something like that. So it also seems weird to me that he will even do that. So yeah, I don't really think he did that on purpose, and that is actually what he did. I don't think that. But of course, again, it's easy for me to sit here and say that only he can really know that. But yeah, again, I think it's all over the place with those decisions.
Fair enough. We will move on to Villa 2, Leicester 4, a goal thriller. Leicester really starting to come back into things now. No coincidence that it coincides with James Maddison coming back into the team. James Maddison was pretty much the star of this game. He got the first goal, the equalising goal for Leicester, and he was pretty much ran the game. Ollie Watkins got the first goal after 9 minutes. Maddison equalised. Harry Souttar scored an own goal for Villa to make it 2-1 Villa, and then 3 unanswered goals, 2 before half-time from Iheanacho and Tete on debut, with Dennis Pratt getting one then late in the second half. Warren, I see you rejoicing there.
Yeah, I love Madison, and I'm glad he's back. And I think was it Villa? I think Leicester is a stronger team with him, and I said that's what they've been lacking this last couple of weeks with him being out. He's still standing there in the stands, like, what's happening? He's back. I'm trying to get him back into my fantasy as soon as possible because he delivers always. But I think what's great about this match was Leicester having 4 different people scoring goals. I think that's a difference maker. I think that is what they've been lacking this whole time. So they've got and new players that came in now. They did the business this time, and they brought in players that's going to improve the team. Watkins is among the goals of Villa. I get it, and they got an own goal as well. But I think Villa's a bit. I think the Emre magic is starting to a little twinkle a little bit off now. I think the novelty is starting to wear off a bit, and they need to work. I mean, I think Coutinho also got a goal, and it was disallowed. Yeah, it was disallowed for offside. So some work to do for Villa. They haven't been as great as they were over the last couple of weeks. But I think Leicester for them, this was a big boost. I think the fact, again, 4 goals, massive for Leicester. And it's people, it's not Vardy, it's not Barnes, it's Tete, it's what's the other guy? Dennis Plight that got a goal in. I think they're starting to get the groove in, and Brandon Rodgers should be great. Should be very, very happy with his team and how they performed. Because Villa is a tough team to face nowadays.
Vardy didn't even start.
Yeah, I think Iheanacho he scored in the FA Cup. He scored now in this game. I think he just cemented his place there because Decker and Vardy has not been doing anything in the front right now. So I think if he feels the right people, I think he can do magic with this team. I really do. I think if they continue like this, they're so far off the bottom right now. I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, Andreas.
Yeah, I've said it before, and I will say it again. Leicester's going the right way, and the right direction. And yeah, they are, and Maddison is a key part in that. And when you look at Leicester's problems with scoring goals, I think this says all you need to know that they can score the goals. They just needed the key stars to really be there and be a part of that. And yeah, like 4 goals, that is a lot, and especially against the Villa team, with a manager that is so focused on this defensive and trying to make that work. So yeah, really good job by Leicester, and yeah, I think they are back. I really think they're back. They had some problems after the World Cup, but I really think this is the boost. Also, the draw with Brighton was a great start to that, because Brighton is a good team, and this just solidifies that they can do this, and they can score a lot of goals, and yeah. So Leicester is really impressive to me right now. With Villa though, I'm kind of frustrated with that. Warren said it very well, that it feels like this Unai Emery magic is kind of gone in a way, and it's surprising to me, and it's sad because I really loved that project. And I don't think it's over yet. I still think they will gain some great wins and stuff like that. But if I had to like really compare these 2 projects going on right now, before this game, I had more trust or belief in Villa's project with Unai Emery than I did in Leicester's project. So therefore I'm kind of surprised about this and a little bit frustrated from Villa's perspective as well, because Villa I feel like have so much potential, but it's starting to slow down a little bit, and it's not the best, but it's not bad either. Like Leicester did a really good job here and they deserved the win, and Villa is still a strong table in the middle of it all. So nothing bad for Villa really. Just a little bit disappointed in it not being better than it has been so far for Villa. But yeah, great win for Leicester, and yeah, I think they are going to do really well now.
Fair enough. That makes sense. But yeah, the new signings really starting to come to fore for Leicester. Newcastle won, West Ham won. I've said it the last few weeks on the podcast. I've said it. Newcastle just seem to be dropping off a little bit. And I think it has a lot to do with Almiron. He was the big star. He was a big part of everything before the World Cup. And now it just doesn't seem to be working. Something's just not right at the moment. I don't know what it is. I don't know what. I think the Almiron stuff, I think, has a lot to do with it. He was at the heart and the key to a lot of what they did, and now he's kind of out of form. It's just it. I know they had a goal ruled out early on for offside, and then they scored the second goal. But I thought Agard was very good. I thought new signing for West Ham, Agard, or I don't know how to pronounce his name. He was very good. He was kind of all over Newcastle. But yeah, in Newcastle, it just something just doesn't seem to be working at the moment. Warren?
Yeah, I think it's burnout. I think it's they were firing on all cylinders for the first couple of games of the season, and I think it's starting to catch up with them now. We've seen it in the last couple of games also. They've been dropping points, drawing. This time they haven't been conceding now, but now they've conceded goals. Now they're starting to concede the clean sheets. I mean, Trippier isn't even on form like he was at the beginning. After that match at the free kick, everybody expected Trippier to be this. It's Almiron, it's Trippier, it's Wilson in the front. They lost Chris Hood. Bruno Guimaraes is on a red card for his ban for 3 matches. It's just a combination of things, but I think it's fatigue coming into the team right now. They're not scoring the goals that they should be scoring the goals, and this is where I think they could be slipping. The Champions League spots could be slipping from. It's still early days, but it could be slipping from there. And I think this is when United is going to, put some distance between them and Newcastle, guaranteeing themselves in that spot. And I think this is where Spurs is going to, especially with Son and Kane now in the form of their lives again, is going to overtake Newcastle. So I think slowly but surely the shift is going to happen. Credit to West Ham for getting a goal back that early on and being able to hold Newcastle to that draw, because West Ham has not been the best. But I think West Ham is slowly starting to get into the scoring habits and winning form again. Granted, they didn't get the 3 points, but they didn't lose. So against Newcastle, for instance. So I think West Ham is rebuilding themselves. Newcastle is just starting to slip a little bit, and they have to take a look in the mirror and see what is going on with that club right now and fix it immediately before they lose momentum, because that's what's starting to happen.
Fair enough, Andreas. Quick comments.
Yeah, I think I remember I talked about Newcastle not conceding any goals in a while. And when I look at the stats here, before this match, last time Newcastle conceded a goal in Premier League was November 6th last year, of course, against Southampton, where Southampton scored 1 goal. So that's a very long time when Newcastle has not conceded any goals. So yeah, I think it is shocking that West Ham is the one to break that streak, and I think West Ham is starting to go the right way. I feel like they have a project now. The win against Everton was a good start. Getting a draw with a very strong Newcastle team is great as well. So West Ham is fine for me right now, but Newcastle, I'm starting to get a little bit worried about. Still a great team, and they didn't even lose. Like that. That's the thing. It's also because we have been used to Newcastle being so great now that we can even allow ourselves to be disappointed with this. I think I said it with Palace as well. That the fact that we can even be disappointed in this is crazy because they are not even losing. So yeah, Newcastle is just a strong team, but they're starting to fail a little bit, and games that we would expect them to win, they have not really won the last couple of games. So a little bit worried with Newcastle, and it will really be sad to see them not getting in Champions League with how great they have been so far. So a little bit worried with them, but I don't think it's really bad either. Just starting to get a little bit worried with Newcastle not winning their games.
Fair enough. Brentford 3-0 against Southampton, and I think the big thing from this was actually Nathan Jones's post-match comments. I don't know if anybody picked up on that or heard about that.
I didn't.
Sorry, Andreas?
I didn't.
No, okay. So basically what he said was, I was recruited to do a certain job, to play in a certain way because my team did really well. We defended the box, we were aggressive, front-footed, we put teams under pressure. We pressed, we counter-pressed really well. I blame myself. I should be driving the standards. Everywhere I've been, I drove standards. I haven't let anyone get away with anything. I've been on top of everyone. And maybe got carried away that these are Premier League players and you have to give them this and that, but no more. Very kind of strange. It sounds like
Interesting.
it sounds like he doesn't have control of the team. That players getting away with things that they shouldn't be. Sounds very strange. Like he doesn't quite have control over his team that he should have. I don't really know what to make of it. Warren.
No, it's yeah.
Sorry, Andreas.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, I was just gonna speak about the game quickly because
Yeah.
I need to leave in 10 minutes, or 7 minutes. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, the game was great for Brentford. I think it's great that Brentford remained their form. Tony didn't even score, and they just flying in the goals. Happy for Brentford. And they're just showing that they're a strong quality team, and 3 different goal scorers, and they're just producing so much good football right now. So big props to them. Great 3 points. Southampton, I mean, story, they're going backwards again now. And they didn't really deliver. It was all a bit of a shambles, I guess. So I'm just afraid that they're going to slip into old ways. And then coming to the comment from the manager, I was kind of surprised that he made those comments. When I heard that possible Premier League manager would be sacked, I probably thought it was going to be him because of the comments, because people have been fired for saying worse things in the interviews. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does, but it doesn't sound like he's got a lot of faith in his team to begin with. And if you don't have control and faith in your team, then you don't have the respect of them and how they're supposed to perform for you. That's just how I say it. So it's going to be interesting what happens on the training ground. But yeah, I think he doesn't have the confidence in the team, and I don't think the team has the confidence in him. So maybe he isn't the right person for the job.
Yeah, it'd be strange if he did sack him, because that would be a third manager then within the season, which wouldn't necessarily be a good look for the club. But this isn't a good look either, I guess. Andreas, Brentford are really cruising at the moment.
They are. Quickly with what he said there. I feel like I'm never going to understand the idea of a manager saying stuff like that. Like, I get you can be frustrated and all that kind of stuff, but your job as a manager is to make it clear over your team that you believe in them and boost their momentum and all that kind of stuff. And you're clearly not really doing that in saying this stuff. I get you can be frustrated, and that's completely okay. But like you're not getting closer to the team by saying this stuff. Let's just say it like that. So yeah. Interesting to see what that's going to affect in the future for Southampton. but yeah, Brentford doing a really, really good job, and I'm really, really impressed with them. It's crazy that they have been doing so well, um, and um, I have a soft spot for Brentford, not Everton, Brentford. So it's great to see it's great to see them doing so well, and I'm really, really impressed with Brentford right now. At the same time, I'm surprised about Southampton because I've said so many times that it's the worst team. They're going to get relegated. But when I looked at their transfers, I was actually pretty surprised in a good way because Onuachu, Sulomana, that's guys I know from the Danish league. They have played there, been top stars in that league. And then they went out to bigger clubs and have been really well there as well. So when I heard they were going to Premier League, I was really, really excited because I know both guys. I know how great they can be. So I hope to see that more. And I think they are really, really great offensive players, both of them. So I hope to see them having a bigger part in this team going forward. They were not there from the beginning, so came in later. And I don't really blame anything down on them not doing much yet. But I'm interested to see those new signings, other signings as well, do a job for Southampton, and I think that can be the way they can survive if their offense can be better. And again, definitely made some good offensive signings. So I'm interested to see that. I don't know if it will be enough. Southampton is really not good right now. This result is a very good proof of that. But just looking at the signings, I think there is some potential there.
Yeah.
Brentford doing a great job and winning very comfortably.
Weird thing is, if you look at the stats, Southampton actually dominated. They had more possession than Brentford. They had more shots on target. They had the same amount of shots, more passes, more pass accuracy, less fouls. So I don't quite know where it all went wrong for them. Brentford were just more clinical, I guess, in front of goal than Southampton. We'll move on to Brighton 1-0 Bournemouth. A late goal from Karo Mitoma, who scored his 5th goal of the Premier League campaign, 7 in 11 games now, including FA Cup. He's turning out to be a little star. Brighton did struggle, though, for a lot of the game. It seems like I don't know what to make of Brighton. I feel like they're going hot and cold at the moment. Warren?
Yeah, quickly. Brighton, yeah, they struggle against some teams and then they fly against other teams. So I think the positive that you can take away from this is that they don't lose points. So I think that's because they didn't lose points this time around. They lost against Leicester. They lost points against Leicester, but they are this strong team. I think they've got so many great stars in their team that can do so much on the field. Matoma, I think, is, like you said, a little star in the making. They should just hold on to him as tight as they can. But and even Solly March, but I think he's got a little bit of an edge over him. And there's like, hey, look, as long as they get the result, for me, it's okay. I think I know it was Bournemouth and people expected the thrashing 3-0, 4-0. But it's not always going to be that case. It's about who the other team puts up and how they line up and how the formation is. That maybe curbs Brighton from playing the way that they want to play. So with that being said, I think that a 1-0 for Brighton at this point isn't what you expected. But some games you just need that one goal. Some games you just have to take the 1-0 and run with it. So I'm not gonna brandish Brighton for winning against a late goal, and that's the best way to win some games, especially when you can't get through and get during the majority of the game. If you can't penetrate the defense, you get a late stoppage time winner is the best type of win that you can hope for because there's no going back from that. So nobody can take that win away from you. So props to them. I think the manager's doing a great job. Bournemouth is in the mud. I've been saying it for a while now. They're struggling. They're struggling for form. They're struggling to get goals. They're struggling to get wins. I think of the 3 promoted teams, I thought it would be Nottingham Forest, but I do believe now that Bournemouth is the one that's in trouble. Most likely will end up in the relegation zone. If they do survive, they really need some kind of injection to just give that team some oomph. Because right now I feel like it's a bit lackadaisical for me from them, and that's over a stretch of a few games now. So props to Brighton for getting the 3 points and not settling for one. And Bournemouth there's some work to do.
Absolutely. Andreas?
Yeah, I think it's crazy with Bournemouth because they did really, really well before the break. There were some games right before the break where they were not that good, but in the first half of the season, most of it, they did really, really well, and I think they were even in top 10 for a while.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'm surprised with what's going on with Bournemouth, and I don't really see them doing much either at this point. It's just sad because they did really, really well. But yeah, not that great at the moment. And with Brighton, listen, Brighton have gone out and beat Liverpool very much, beaten us very much, Leicester. Brighton have already shown that they can win with a lot of goals. Like the fact that they're not doing it in this match, that's not really surprising or anything. I get it's surprising, but it's like it is what it is. It doesn't change anything from Brighton being a great team. Sometimes you have better days than others. See you, Ron.
okay, sorry, man. Bye.
Yeah, sometimes you have better days than others, and this was just not Brighton's best day, but they won anyways. And looking at it from position wise and stats, they had 71.8% of possession. Brighton, more shots on target, much more shots in general, 20 shots. But Bournemouth only had 12. So Brighton is the best, the most dominant in every aspect of this. And they won, and that's all that matters. And again, as I said with United, you don't always have to win with this huge amount of goals. I think Brighton also just wanted to win, just wanted position, just wanted to dominate, and they did that. And Bournemouth is not really the team right now that you can say, okay, maybe they can come back and score a late goal. Any team can, but Bournemouth is not the most likely right now. So yeah, I think Brighton just had a game plan. They wanted to win, and they did that. So yeah,
Absolutely. Then we'll move on. Forest 1-0 against Leeds. Keylor Navas clean sheet on debut. Forest, I think, signed well in January. Just added a couple more people into their ranks. I think they keep edging a little bit further away from the relegation zone now. They keep winning against sides around them. The one thing is they don't score many goals, but they're winning. And I think that's probably the most important thing right now. Defensively, they're solid and they don't concede many, but they don't score many, but they don't concede many either. So they're able to get by and win games. They were pretty clinical, I feel like, here. As a result that led to the sacking of Jesse Marsch as well. Do you think that was a kind of justified decision?
I think overall, yeah. Looking at just this game, I think they actually did a very, very good job, to be honest. If Navas had not been in goal, they would have won with 2 or 3 goals, to be honest.
Yeah.
So looking just at this game, I don't think it's the right decision. But overall, it has just not been good enough from Leeds. And I've said it before, very, very inconsistent. Sometimes they're great, sometimes they're really, really bad. And yeah, so I get it, but I don't really know. I don't really know how much that is his fault, really. To be honest, I don't know how much someone else can come in and do different. I guess there is a lot of job to do in the defense. So maybe someone that can do a better job there. But yeah, it's difficult. I don't really feel like he necessarily was the problem, but I also get that the manager will always be the one that you're blaming when it's not working. So I guess it was going to happen no matter what.
Yeah, I feel like he needed more time though. I think he was kind of building something there and probably deserved a little bit more time to kind of build that and kind of give them that. Especially when was Bielsa sacked? I don't think he was sacked that long ago. Let me see. Bielsa sacking from Leeds. He was sacked around this time last year, actually, the end of February last year. So he's only had a year in.
Yeah.
Possibly he needed. I know the Premier League can be ruthless, and you don't get time, especially in the relegation zone. Like you look at the likes of United and how much time they've given managers. I feel like he was building something, and I think he probably needed more time. I feel like.
Yeah, I agree. I very much agree. And I think
feel
again,
like teams at the bottom are very quick to kind of pull the plug on managers as soon as it's not working. They're just kind of like, where teams at the top will give managers time. And I think that's a problem that needs to be addressed, because how are you supposed to kind of build something and build a project if you're going to sack your manager?
Yeah, it's
not given the chance to carry that project on. I feel like they probably would have been safe from relegation, but at the same time, I can kind of see why they did it, but I feel like he probably did need more time.
Yeah, I think it's a very, very solid point you have right there, because I get why the bottom teams do this. I get it, that it's because what they see is it's not working at the moment, so they want to do something else. I get that, but it's a very, very solid point that when you get someone else, that guy also have to completely understand what he's going into, and it will take much longer time for that new guy to understand the whole situation and find his right plane than it will take for someone that's already there to kind of develop his plane and continue it. So yeah, I think you had a very solid point that it's kind of weird that these bottom teams are so quick to do this.
Yeah.
But yeah, I felt like Leeds could be relegated before this. I've not necessarily get relegated. It was not like this is going to happen, but at the same time, I was neither like Leeds is going to survive. I could see it go either way. So I get what they're doing, but again, looking from this game and the last couple of games, I feel like offensively they are starting to get there. They're not really scoring the goals yet. That's of course a problem, but I really feel like offensively they have some really, really good players there that can score the goals needed. So honestly, right now I feel like Leeds really surprised me with this game. And again, without Navas, I'm very, very confident Leeds will have won this very comfortably. So yeah, a weird timing to sack a manager.
Yeah, especially after the transfer window just closed and he made a couple of signings. He bring guys in. They could have. He probably should have been given time to let them kind of sink in, but then again, they don't want to make a move too late, because otherwise it's too late and they don't have time to do anything. Just I do feel sorry for him. But anyway, the Premier League is ruthless.
What?
The Premier League is ruthless.
It really is. But yeah, it's the thing like that. There's all of these double sides to it. That like if they wanted to sack him, they needed to do it now, because later it will probably be too late. On the other hand, you can say he got these guys. He wanted these guys. They probably knew that he was the manager when they signed with them. So these players that got in right now came in with the idea of him being there. He signed them with the idea of playing the way he wanted to. So for someone new coming in right now, it will be a difficult job, because he has not chosen those new guys. And they, at the same time, like this new manager, they also have to understand the club and find their way. And that's really, really difficult when the manager did not even decide to get you there, and you were not even a part of his plans. So it's just these double sides where it makes sense why they did it, but it's also like, how much are you really gaining from this? So yeah, just double sides to it. But yeah, sad for him. But I feel like he can go somewhere else.
Yeah, absolutely.
And quickly with Forest. Just want to say that I don't think this was Forest's best match at all. But I was about to say something bad, but But wow, what a signing! Nottingham got there in Navas. Wow, I'm really I'm really
Especially with
impressed.
Dean Henderson out for so long.
Yeah, I feel like that is, to me personally, that is one of the biggest signings,
Yeah.
because he is still so great. Like, the only reason he's not playing is because PSG has someone that's just even better, and that is, even if he is that, I don't even know if I feel like he is that. Donnarumma, I feel like Navas really is great. So yeah, what a great signing, and so cool to see him in
Yeah.
Premier League. And yeah, really impressed with that signing, and surprised that he even wanted to go there, but I guess he wanted to play, and very understandably so.
Yeah. I think it's only on loan, isn't it? So
He is, but still, like Navas, we're talking about one of the best
Yeah.
keepers in the world.
yeah.
To Nottingham, it is crazy. But again, they have a lot of money. It's almost like they're better than us when it comes to to this amount of money. American
Yeah,
money can
Yeah,
handle that.
Greek money. Greek
What?
money better than American money.
Yeah, exactly. It really is.
Yeah, they've signed 29 players across the season, but I think the thing is they've signed them for less money. They've kind of taken players on loan. They've
They
taken players,
didn't they end up on 30?
possibly with Andre Ayew signing. Yeah,
Yeah,
possibly it could be
yeah.
30. Actually, you're
It's
right.
crazy. It's a lot. It really is a lot.
Yeah, but look, hopefully it works for them and they stay up, and then hopefully next season they can start building, because I think they have a really good core unit there that can really challenge mid-table for the next couple of seasons.
Agree.
Anyway, we will move on to Spurs 1-0 City. This was another big shock. Harry Kane's early goal put the cat amongst the pigeons, and City couldn't cope. City did try and do something different. Since they've been struggling lately, they did put De Bruyne on. They kept De Bruyne on the bench. They went with a 2 up front of Haaland and Alvarez. It just did not work for whatever reason. I don't know what's going on at the City at the moment. What's going wrong? I just don't understand it. Haaland had no shots on target, I believe, in the whole game. It was poor, just very, very, very poor. 5 shots on target in the whole game. Like, they dominated that game, but just could not get anything across the line for whatever reason. I just don't know what it is at the moment. I can't figure it out.
What?
I can't figure it out what's going wrong with the City.
Yeah. No, I very much agree. Like, I feel like Spurs is about to get back and kind of get their redemption from not being that great early in the season, but they are really starting to get there, and Kane is back. Kane is doing a really good job. I feel like Spurs really has a great squad, and when it works, Spurs are an absolute threat. The thing just is, it has not really worked that much this season, but when that team really works, they have a really strong squad. Son, Kane, Kulusevski, Højbjerg, they all around, they have a pretty strong squad. But even with that, it's City, and City should be stronger. But there really are some problems right now, and it's crazy. Also, just when you look at the last match they have against Spurs, I believe it was in January, right, where City won 4-2.
Yeah, it was only a few weeks ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. So what happened? Like, City won against Wolves, and now that they lose to Spurs, it's weird, and I really don't know quite what's going on with City. And I also don't understand the idea of not having De Bruyne on from the beginning. I get it in smaller matches, but I think it's weird not having him from the beginning in a match against Spurs. So I think Pep is making some weird choices right now, and I think also with defense, we have talked about there being a problem there. If you just look at their last 5 games, City has conceded 5 goals in 5 games. And I get that the 5 goals are to teams like Spurs and United. I get that, but it's still too much from a City team that should be very, very dominant all around. There really are some problems in that defense, and Holland is I will not say blanking, because I believe he scored 3 goals against Wolves, so he is working, but it's also starting to get a little bit hit and miss with him. Like sometimes he's very, very strong and score 3 goals, and other times he's not doing anything.
I think a lot of that has to do with the way they're playing him, and then I think City need to kind of play around Haaland. They need to center the team around Haaland and play around him, rather than him being a part of that team, because he doesn't fit in with what they're doing.
Yeah, I very much agree. I think it's just weird. It's just weird, and even with Alvarez being there as well, it's weird that those 2 guys could not score any goals. Also because it's not like I feel like Spurs has the strongest defense either. So yeah,
like
I think
with the midfield that they have, they should be getting the balls. Like, yes, the wing, you have Jack Grealish, who isn't very good, but you have Bernardo Silva, you have Rodri.
Yeah.
They should be getting the service.
Yeah, but and also if we look at stats, City had 64.8% of possession, so they were dominant there. They had more shots. They had more shots on target. They just couldn't do anything with it, and I think that's probably the shocking part when you have Haaland, when you have Alvarez. You have some really, really strong players there, and they can't score. Of course, you can't score any game. I know that, but at the same time, it's surprising to me. I expected there to be a lot of goals in this, again, because I think both teams are really, really strong offensively, not that strong defensively. But it wasn't. It was Spurs getting the win with 1 goal, and that's all they needed. And again, I feel like Kane is really really on form right now.
Yeah, could really challenge Haaland for the Golden Boot. I know he became the leading goal scorer ever for Spurs, overtaking the legend that is Jimmy Greaves, and he joined the 200 club for the Premier League as well. He's only 8 now. I think he's the 3rd person to make that milestone, and I think he's the youngest to get there as well. Only Alan Shearer and Wayne Rooney are ahead of him, and I believe Wayne Rooney has 208, so there's a very good chance that Kane can overtake that this season still and go and become the 2nd highest Premier League goal scorer ever.
Yeah.
I think by the time he's finished, he will very likely overtake or be very close to Shearer. He's just a very, very class player.
And deserving so. Like, of course, when you score that many goals, you are deserving of it. But I really feel like Kane is a really, really good player. And I really don't think we talk enough about him in general as people. I feel like what he has done in Premier League, it's Premier League, easily the strongest league right now. It's crazy. And not to talk Messi or Ronaldo down or anything.
Especially in teams like Spurs, whereas like Ronaldo, Messi doing it in teams like your Reals, your Juves, your Barças, your PSGs, where they're surrounded by quality players. He's doing it in a team like Spurs.
Yeah, and got them to a Champions League final as well. We're talking about Spurs again. I very much agree, Harry. I think it's what he has been able to do both in Premier League but also for Spurs of all teams. I think is really, really impressive. And also the fact that he is a striker, but he can play more down as well if needed. He's just an all-round really, really, really strong player. And I honestly really feel like he should be talked more about when it comes to Ballon d'Or as well, and all that kind of stuff. And honestly, I also would love to get him in summer, but that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah,
He's
no,
probably
it's
not
not
leaving.
negotiable.
I mean, Jorginho left us, so who knows? For Arsenal, no, he's probably not leaving. And even if he did, it would probably not be to
I
us.
can see him leaving, but I can't see him going to
Yeah,
Chelsea.
agree. Sadly, I agree. But I kind of want him to leave, not necessarily for us, but just because that man really deserves to win Champions League,
Yeah,
and I don't think that's
absolutely.
going to happen with Spurs. But yeah, no matter what, that man is really great, and I completely understand that Spurs loves him, because wow, it's really impressive, and having both him and Son there, that's just a great combo. Even though Son
Yeah,
has not been the greatest this season, so yeah, again, I just feel like Spurs overall have a pretty solid team. So I get this win, but at the same time, they have not been performing that well. Where City also have a lot of stars. So yeah, City is in a weird place right now. They really are.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That is all we have time for today. Thank you very much for watching, folks. We'll be back on Friday. Please tune in. Please like and subscribe below. Yeah, we'll see you Friday. Have a good week, everybody.